Hello everyone. This is a new chapter on our show, chapter 131. We had a 2-year break, but we're back, and with us is Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello, Avigdor. Hello, Rav. Hello, Dr. Leitman. The world changed a lot in the past 2 years, so did we, and we will try to find some kind of common denominator in advance. Obviously, the wisdom of Kabbalah has a social and economic agenda. You talk about this a lot, you write about it. And also Bala Sulam in his article, Peace in the World, the Nation, and certainly in the writings of the last generation, he is relating to very current things, and also he expresses a future vision of economy, of society. So what does the wisdom of Kabbalah have to do with economy? The wisdom of Kabbalah talks about how do we relate to our life in general, that we are in a certain system. This system includes education and culture and family and the world order in it and everything, including the still, vegetative, and the animate, meaning science. Everything is a part of this field called the wisdom of Kabbalah because it talks about the substance, the matter of creation, which is the will to receive. And that from outside of our world there is a different force that is working on it, the desire to bestow. And these two forces is what gives birth or creates different phenomena in our world. So of course we have a variety of education and culture and you name it. So the wisdom of Kabbalah has what to say. So this is the expression of the human ego. Economy is the expression of the human ego, and we see that the attention that you and the wisdom of Kabbalah attribute to economy is much beyond other fields or other realms. Why is it so central? The wisdom of Kabbalah is based on man's will to receive, on his egoistic will to receive, and is explaining to us how is man operated by this desire, that this desire is our initial substance. Instinctively, we act only under its orders, and therefore everything that we build out of our instinctive response. And therefore, what follows is that actually we have what to say about people's behavior, about economy. This all has to do with man's ego, with man's will to receive, namely to the wisdom of Kabbalah, to its very essence. Okay, so in a few sentences, what is the goal of this new future economy that will characterize the corrected man and corrected society? Our entire nature and man as a part of nature, of the still, vegetative, and the animate, was created in the egoistic will to receive, where everyone pulls to his own benefit, to the measure to which he understands that it is to his own benefit, building his success at the expense of exploiting others as much as possible. And this is how we evolved every time, and this is how we have built our relations and the very foundations of our economy. That we had struggles, we were in competition, and this was good. It suited our situation, and there were those that were more successful, less successful. There were those who failed. There were those that, to the contrary, advanced. But In our time, from about 100 years ago, we started coming to a new state where, and especially this is something that's clearing up in our time, toward the end of the previous millennia, that we're entering a new world, an integral world, where all of us are interconnected, that previously the integrality, the mutual interdependence was not that clear, was not that revealed. And what follows now is that we have used our will to receive as is, and we've built different systems in it, egoistic systems, financial, economic, different kinds. And so we have these different tools of how to connect with each other, how to use each other, and so on. But after we are connecting under the forces of nature against our own will, and we're discovering that we're all connected in a single system, it's similar to there were a few people. Each of them succeeded in his own business. They were successful in their own business, and they competed with each other. And suddenly they discovered, from above, it was revealed to them that they're a part of the same family. Suppose they found their mother, and she says, you don't know, but you're all brothers. And then they already need to change their entire attitude toward each other, from hate and competition to love and connection, to support. And they don't know how to do it, because they are very developed, evolved in being against each other. And each of them has built his empire in such a way, and now how to bring these things together, they don't know. But on the other hand, they understand that they can't continue the way they were. So what do? This is exactly the situation that humanity is in today. With your permission, I'd like to read something that you said in 2015 about the vision of the new economy. So, this is from the book Social Economy, According to the Wisdom of Kabbalah and the Laws of Nature. So, the purpose, the goal of the new economy is to relieve man from the tremendous efforts that he has to invest today in order to make a living, and to allow him to reach the next level of his development, a personal and social development. It's not only an economy that allows this kind of development, but it also expresses the changes that man and society as a whole are going through in the process of realizing the need to fulfill the need for fulfillment. Let's hope that finally we will now start realizing this. I heard several times that, at least technologically wise, or we have the ability to allow people to be less occupied with making a living, but actually we see that we're more occupied, we work more, so it actually enslaves people. We see it in high tech, we see it in other fields. So what is that thing that has to set people free from the rat race? We have to start from the end. What are we developing everything for? You're saying high-tech. Most of the programs that we develop in high-tech are all in order to sell it to the public and get rich off it. It's useless, both for the public, also for the children that usually use it, and for anyone else, but only to the benefit of the one that's developing it, or the one who ordered this product, and this is how we go. It's a very big problem for the entire world that this is how it reveals the benefit of the one at the expense of the ruins of the other. So, if this vision is still current, that the new economy should relieve a person and allow him to keep developing, so there's a cause and consequence here. The question is, the change that a person has to go through, will this also yield the new model of economy, or will this model allow a person to change? Where are we in relation to the economy, to the change that economy is going through and the change that man's going through? I think that we have to reveal to everyone the process that we are going through. And this is a process that is coming from above upon the evolutional force of humanity and nature. And therefore, when we open this to the public, then gradually we start opening their eyes about their situation. And this goes hand in hand with all the blows that in general we are going through, the coronavirus and other things that are on their way. And therefore it seems to me that here we are actually in a state, in a pretty good state actually, where we have what to explain to people. We have what to explain to the public, what to come to the public with. So, in relation to the new economy, the same. If according to nature's plan, we have reached a state where today, under these blows, we have to feel that we're all under one blow, all of humanity, wherever you are in the world, then we have to see that this blow actually unites us, meaning it's not that bad. It has a certain direction, and it is directing us to be more connected and think and arrange our mind, our attitude toward everyone in the world, that we are actually one system, one humanity, and this is a very serious advancement. If from here we'll also start developing a new economy, it could truly heal us. The second slide explains a certain process that talks about the pillars of the current economy and how each of them is becoming unstable. So if we could briefly go over it as a process, and there's much we can say about this, but in the meantime, only about the process itself. So the first stage, modern economy, is based on several pillars. The first is a welfare state, and a social safety net. Bismarck started with this, so that we have to give the public some kind of safety net. In some countries it's more developed, like in the Scandinavian countries, and in some countries it's not developed at all, like in the United States and third world countries. The second pillar that modern economy is based on is the assumption that there's a lack in everything. Human resources, energy, machinery, and therefore the prices rise. The more rare a thing is, the higher its price, and so on. The third pillar talks about the labor market, that we, governments, countries, want to have full employment. This is our aspiration as a country, as country leaders. People have to make a living. It's a framework for them. It's good for the country, and it's better for all systems when everyone's working and are busy. The fourth pillar is consumption. Man, as a consumer, how essential consumption is in our economy, that this is what pushes our economy. You're asking an economist, what's up? He'll tell you, first of all, did the market grow or not, and how much. And the fifth pillar, I think that this is what's unique about it. It talks about the human aspect. Economists look at man as the Homo economicus, that you all the time, that man takes decisions, rational decisions all the time. How can I make more? And that man is also an egoist, and that Homo economicus has to be happier and well off, and so on and so on. And this is what modern economics are based on. Now, we're in a process where each of these pillars are becoming unstable. Welfare state, we see that life expectancy is growing, less birth rate is decreasing, social security has less and less money. I'm cutting things shorter, but I want for you to see the process. Also, the terms of lack, we see the abundance that there is. We know how to make energy, how to make alternative energy. We can make it cheap. For 20 shekels, $4, you can buy anything. $5. And the electric company even pays people to take their energy and so on. Full employment. Even before the coronavirus, robotics, artificial intelligence are gradually making many of our professions irrelevant. Many professions will disappear, and the forecast is that in about 20 years, more than 50% of our positions, our jobs are about to completely disappear or dramatically change. And so our future employment seems very problematic, because the country can deal with 5% unemployment, 10%, but for an extended period of time, more than that is a serious problem. So where will you have the desire to go and shop from? Where will you have the ability from to go and do it? So everything's changing. And also the fifth pillar, the human component, we see this on the younger generations, the millennials and the Z generation. They have different motivations. They get their satisfaction through different things. They don't participate in their parents' game. So the first pillar falls, second, third, fourth, fifth fall, and the entire method that, according to which the method that we live in is about to fall. What do you think about this? I agree, and I'm happy about it. You know me for many years now. I agree, and I'm happy that this is how it is. And I even continued a bit more in life. I'm happy that I lived to see these things happening in this world. And not to see this from a different point of view, from a different perspective, that it is possible to help humanity reach a new kind of economy. What I presented here is not in consensus. We can discuss any of these pillars or all of them together. There are those that contradict the assumptions that I have introduced here, but obviously that around each of these there are many question marks, and bringing these question marks together, it brings lots of anxiety. And the question, of course, is how can we take this process and not try to undo things and save the economy, but to advance through explaining about the new state, that it's truly new, that you can't work in it with the old tools. You can't. How can I turn to new problems that are beyond Bismarck in the 20th century? We're now in a completely new world, in an integral society where the global world, a world that has completely different standards, we can't turn to them with the same theories and tools of the previous century. How do you explain the compression under which this process is taking place? It seemed like it would take many years, and now suddenly comes this global blow, and seems as if this entire process was squeezed into something very short and intensive. Yes, something like this never happened before. So what's the purpose of the intensity and the difference between this and a process that should have taken maybe several generations? The wisdom of Kabbalah spoke about this already 500 or 600 years ago from the days of the Ari. It's the 16th, even the 15th century. And therefore, back then, the wisdom of Kabbalah already talked about this. Bala Sulam, in the beginning of the 20th century, wrote that we are entering a new generation, which is what we call the last generation, the last egoistic generation, meaning, and we are facing a social revolution. And this has to happen in our time. In our time, it took another 100 years. It didn't happen immediately. But still, it happened very quickly. We never had such a change like nowadays in all previous generations, and we really merited to witness this social revolution, change, world change, that humanity that was dispersed all around the globe, and especially since the days of ancient Babylon was dispersed as 70 nations of the world, they dispersed in all directions and all continents. Suddenly, above all differences, above all the egoistic developments, it now has to reveal itself again as a single group of people, as one family that's interdependent, and that you can't do anything here through wars or economy that was shaped by the fathers of the egoistic economy. So we entered the new world. What is the meaning of this dialectic? The model that is supposed to rise, the new model, why does it have to rise on the ruins of the previous model and not through a gradual process of change? Because nature, which consists of the still, vegetative, animate, and the speaking, is going through change. Only that the still, the vegetative, and the animate, they have no free choice. They're not aware of what's going on. They're operated by the forces of nature and are operated instinctively. The speaking species, besides being operated or activated largely instinctively on the animate level, but the speaking level is free. It has an evil inclination. People want to work with it, want to develop. It builds its own world, evil inclination, changes it, the human species meaning, and therefore the human species is the one that has to go through these changes, and now the time of change has come. The sages of Kabbalah saw this a long time ago. They even mentioned when will it happen, and they wrote in their different essays, how are we supposed to act in order to go through these changes in a quick and good way. Still, even governments, even leaders, economists, even simple people, everyone's anxious about losing something that they were born into. This is what they were taught from childhood, and now we're shifting into something unclear. Do you understand them and their efforts to save the old system? I understand them fully, and I'm as if I share their sorrow. I also admit that they don't have the tools in their hands to understand what's going on and how are we supposed to behave in the current time, and therefore this is what we see now, that we are in the days of the coronavirus, that we don't know what to do. And we didn't finish with the first blow, we're already coming to the second, the third blows, and so on. So now there will be a series of blows, and we will not know how to build our economy. We don't know how to imagine the situation now where we are coming together in industry and economy, we're like what you just showed us, that it's all built on the ego to make as much as possible, doesn't matter what and how, the main thing is more and more and more and more. It won't work anymore. We see that all these things are becoming more and more restricted. So how will we build the new economy? By not being opposed to each other, but by being correctly connected with one another. If we don't see, unless we see all of humanity as a single family where everyone has to care for everyone, and for this we have to make a revolution in our relations, in our attitude to nature, to ourselves, and so on. Unless we do this, we are in collapse. Some of the people that are engaged in these fields of economy start understanding that things are changing. I'm not sure that they understand how deep the gap is between the past and the future, but I want to read something. Tzvi Stepak, he was a history teacher. He's very well known in the financial markets. He has a broad worldview, and sometimes he even openly says many things that many people feel in their gut. He says, we're living in an unnormal world where I give you a loan and you give me back less. This is negative interest. Experience has a meaning, but if you're taken to Mars, I'm not sure how much your experience will help you. The economic world today, the financial world today, is something that we're unfamiliar with nowadays. It's very challenging from all aspects. The economy, investments, everything. I feel like I was taken to Mars and told, these are the rules of the game. Adjust yourself to this imaginary game. I'd feel much better if I could be brought back to Earth. It's a state that no one was in or has experienced. No one knows how to deal with this kind of world. Yeah. We have to change human nature, the way man looks at nature. Economy is based on competition. Now we have to build our entire economy on connection. And this is, we don't know. We don't have the hands and legs for it. Where are these theories? The socialistic theory, it all fell a long time ago. It was based on such imaginations. We have to build ourselves now anew. And this kind of economy is something that we have to build as quickly as possible. How do we build our relationships, our attitude toward reality in a way that we act, we generate only things that are necessary for us, that are good for us, just to look at things through the eyes of, do we need it or not? Is it to our benefit or not? Is it to everyone's benefit or not? Meaning man has to be the goal. How do you explain such a profession that seems completely anachronistic, that was established 70 years ago, the world changed since then, and people are perplexed and still people hold on to this? How do you explain it? Nature. Nature. We have to understand that, look, still, our entire foundation toward a change in the direction of good is to accept the change. If you don't accept change, And you have these smart Alex, I even see it among world leaders. They'll do whatever they have to in order to return things to the way they were. They don't understand that the coronavirus is an essential blow. They think that it's something temporary, that there was this wave of flu and it passed. They have to go back to how things were. They don't understand that the previous blows are particular blows, but this blow is integral, showing humanity that it's impossible to continue our egoistic development as before. Everyone has to show the only way that we can succeed. This is the condition coming down upon us from the upper integral nature, and unless we relate to reality this way for everyone to succeed, we won't be able to survive. More and more viruses will come until they'll eat us up. We're approaching the end of our show. Suppose the wisdom of Kabbalah could talk to, suppose a representative of the wisdom of Kabbalah could talk to a representative of the economical system. What would we wish them? He would wish them to educate all economists, for them to look at the world as a single mechanism, that there's no competition here, but that now there is, how do we build out of all of these opposite forms a single direction? And let's hope that they will build this kind of new economy. Thank you very much for this talk. I hope that we'll have such future talks. All the best.